You're listening to Real Stories. This is the series where I take the women I work with and I turn them into the heroines of their own journey. Each episode, one woman, one pattern, and one body that was trying to tell her something she hadn't learned to hear yet. Let's get into today's story about a woman that owns a hair salon. The smell of chemicals was the first thing, always. Before the door had even swung open, before the first client sat down, and before the day had really begun, there it was, sharp and strong, woven into her hair, her clothes, the air she breathed. She stopped noticing it years ago. That is what happens when something is always there. You just take it and keep on going. She was good at taking things and keeping going. 9 hours on her feet, 10 on the busy days. She moved through them the way she moved through everything, efficiently, warmly, and without complaints. Washing hair, listening, cutting, listening more. The woman who came to her didn't just want their roots done, they wanted to feel held for an hour, to talk without being cut off, to be touched without having to give anything back. She understood this without thinking about it. She always had been like that, the kind of person a room full of strangers somehow ends up opening up to. She gave all of it, every day, to everyone. And every day, somewhere between the third and the fourth client, there it was. That heavy, dull pressure behind her eyes. Not quite a headache, more like a feeling of a sponge that had soaked up too much and hadn't been squeezed out in a very long time. She'd take a slow breath, reach for the next bowl of color, smile at the woman in the mirror who smiled back, grateful and not really knowing. Fine, she told herself. This is just what it feels like to have a full life, to have a full calendar. Her stomach had been saying something different for years. It cramped, it bloats, visibly, uncomfortably, in a way she learned to dress around. Some mornings she woke up already puffy before she'd eaten a single thing, as if her body had been tensing all night. The pattern was unpredictable in a way that almost worse than constant pain. She never quite knew which version of her digestion she would wake up to. Would today be the constipation, or the days where she had to stay very close to a bathroom? The endometriosis had been found years before we met, on her bowel, which meant that every month her own tissue was swelling and bleeding somewhere it was never supposed to be. Surgery had it help quiet it down, but the monthly pain still showed up like clockwork, and she got used to taking painkillers, getting through the day, and just moving on. But deep inside, she knew that wasn't the way to move forward. That wasn't the way of life she would love for herself. She really wanting it different. She also had been on the pill for 18 years. 18 years. Let that land for a moment. Since she was a teenager, which means that for her entire adult life, every relationship, every home, every version of herself she grew into, her own cycle had been switched off. She had never bled without the pill telling her to, never felt her own hormones rise and fall, never had the chance to learn what her body actually felt like when it was fully, truly hers. Nobody had ever told her that was something worth knowing. She tried to get help before she came to me. I got help therapist, a psychologist, some other people, and yeah, careful, thorough, well meaning. They ran tests, they found nothing. They gave her a list of foods she wasn't allowed to eat, and then a longer list, and then a longer list. She followed them carefully. She searched everything up online. She was Googling at 2 a.m. in the night, but nothing really sticked. She read the forums with that particular tired desperation of someone who just wants to understand what's going on inside their own body. The list of rules got bigger, and the relief still didn't come. And then there was one more thing. the thing she carried more quietly than anything else. She wanted to get pregnant. Not yet, not this year, but after the summer. She and her partner had talked about it in a careful, hopeful way couples do when the one thing is real, but the timing still feels tender. And underneath that hope was a question she hadn't said out loud to many people. With everything my body has been through, is it even possible for me to get pregnant? When she arrived before me, I didn't see a broken body. I saw a woman who had never once been told that their sensitivity was real. Not a weakness, not something to manage, but a physical fact about how her nervous system works. And actually, a secret superpower. She felt everything. Every shift in a client's mood, every loud sound from the street, every moment of tension she smoothed over without even thinking. So fast, so automatic, she didn't register it as effort. She picked up the emotional weight of every room she walked into, all day, every day, and she never put it down. By the time she got home each evening, she wasn't just tired, she was completely full. And a nervous system that full doesn't send blood to the gut in the way it should. It doesn't make enough stomach acid. It doesn't let the digestive system do its quiet rhythm work. It holds on. It braces. It goes in a kind of low level protection mode because it's learned over years that there's always more coming, always more to hold. Her gut symptoms weren't like something to be fixed, something broken, something bad. It was a message. So we didn't start with food, with restricting more. Absolutely not. We started with her calendar. And what we found was a woman whose days had no gaps. She moved from client to client, to errand to partner, to household to task in one long unbroken stream of giving. There was no moment that was just hers. No point in the day where she got to put things down and take a breath. She ate standing up between appointments, already half thinking about what came next, quickly, anxiously, barely tasting it. We looked at the word no. How strange it felt in her mouth. How much she practiced softer versions of it. Maybe another time. Let me check it. I'll try. All the gentle ways of not saying no. Because somewhere along the way, she had learned that being loved and being available were sort of the same thing. We talked about her nervous system the way you would talk about a good friend who would be running on empty for 10 years, with care and with honesty about what really needed to change. The first shift was small enough to miss. She started sitting down for lunch. Not every day at first, some days the salon was too busy, or she forgot, or just felt odd too simply to stop. But on the day she managed it, something was different. The food tasted like food. Her body seemed to recognize it as a meal and not just fuel grabbed in a gap between things. It was almost embarrassingly simple. It was also completely new. She started saying no, quietly, without making it a big thing, and her partner suggested plans on an evening when she had nothing left. Not tonight, she said, and waited for everything to fall apart. And guess what? It didn't. She built small pockets of space into her busiest workdays. She started walking each morning before the salon opened. Not to hit any goal, not to burn anything off, just to feel the morning air and the ground under her feet and belong completely to herself for just 20 minutes. Her digestion started to settle. Not in a straight line, healing rarely works like that, but there were weeks where work got intense and her gut got intense with it, faithful as ever. But overall, the direction was clear. The bloating that had been there every single day began to ease. The constant worry around foods, what if I eat the wrong thing? What if I set something off? What if, started to lose its grip on her. And after the summer, she stopped the pill. She felt ready. And for the first time in 18 years, her own body was running the show. The first cycle hit it hard. Come on, 18 years of her own rhythm coming back all at once. But she didn't fight it. She paid attention. She rested on the days that were asking for rest instead of pushing through. Her doctor checked her endometriosis, and guess what? It was calm, quieter than it had been in years. 3 months later, she was pregnant. Her biggest dream came true. And I want to tell you what actually changed, because it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't the supplements, though we used them. It wasn't what she ate, though they played a role. It wasn't even managing her endometriosis, and still that mattered. What changed was something simpler and bigger than all of that. She started believing that her body was worth listening to. Not fixing, not overriding, not controlling with a longer and longer list of rules. Listening. She stopped handing her power over to everyone who seemed more certain than she felt. The diagnosis, the therapist, the forums at midnight, the fear. And she came back to the one thing that had been trying to reach her all along. Herself. Her body. She had spent years earning her place by being available, by being capable, being fine. Her giving was real. Like, you know it when you also have a big business, a career, a good function. Don't get me wrong, but it had no bottom. And when a woman has no bottom, her body eventually builds one for her. The healing happened in the space she made for herself, in the lunch breaks and in the morning's walks, and the quiet, simple not tonight. In a moment, she stopped performing okayness and started actually feeling it. She told me at the end that she was blown away, that she'd come expecting someone to fix her stomach and found herself somewhere she hadn't expected, in a completely different relationship with her own beautiful life. And that is the work. That has always been the work. So if you found yourself somewhere in her story, in the body that's been talking and not being heard, in the yes that leaves your mouth before you're even checked if you meant it, in the tiredness that you keep calling fine, I want you to know something. Your body is not betraying you. It has been speaking for you this whole time, in the only language it has. So, wherever you are, just come move with me. Every Monday, we start our weeks by checking in with our body, with ourselves, with our cycle, wherever you are, even if you are on the pill, even if there is no cycle yet. We start really empowering ourselves through ourselves. So, you don't have to be okay by just being fine. Just don't stay where you are and come into like a forward direction. I'll put in the show notes some things where you can start. So I would love to see you in my Monday morning classes, and you get access to a full library full of practices that reconnect you to your body, to your feminine side, to your cycle, and make you feel truly empowered. So this was the story about the hair salon owner, and I will be back with a new story for you soon.